Merry meet and welcome to Lex Dragon Queen Magic. I'm Taylor and here's our week ahead reading. So go ahead and pause the video and choose one of the piles that stands out to you the most, and I will see you at the timestamps below. Thank you again and see you there. If you chose pile 1, this is going to be your week ahead reading. So starting off, we have, sorry, these are not read in reverse. So this is the 5 of Wands. So right away, what I'm seeing for you is that you are having a lot of petty arguments coming up. And so like a lot of irritations and it's not just you, it's like the people around you too. So there's something to be said, like if it's everyone around you, then it might be something internally, but there's also something to be said that this is kind of part of the collective energy. So we're probably going to see some more cards come through around protecting your energy and recognizing exactly like where your energy is and where whoever you're speaking to, where their energy is. And because sometimes you're going to need to have like a not now moment and really just sit down and away from everyone and kind of just tune out. I'm hearing like probably like listen to music if like meditating is really hard already. This week it seems like it might be a little bit more difficult because it's going to be harder to clear out your mind. So to do that, listening to music or reading a book, I'm also hearing, is going to be really great for you to help you navigate this energy this week. So just kind of the key thing for this card is to know is the awareness of it and the acceptance of understanding that sometimes we go through these moods and just knowing what you need during those moments. So something else coming through is if you have a partner in your life, this is a very good time to go ahead and communicate. You don't have to say, hey, you know that tarot reading I was watching. You can literally just say like, hey, I'm feeling a little irritable this week. I just want to give you a heads up. So if I react severely, please know that that is a situation, but also let's not try to egg each other on kind of situation and agree to have a break. So kind of an agreement, a commitment to each other to keep things civil. You can also do that with any friends that maybe you have, especially if I'm hearing like some people have like that best friend who's like their opposite. This is going to be the time, the time to like just mention to them like, hey, this has kind of been hurting me a little or triggering me a little. So I need us to avoid this topic, at least for this week. Very important that this is literally just for this week because we do have the full moon that just happened. So these energies are still like decreasing and you are now moving into a phase of a letting go period. And I'm hearing there might be a little bit of a struggle with that. So we definitely have some more cards. Let's go ahead and take a further look into what else is there. So we have the 8 of Wands. So I'm getting a lot of fiery energy, a lot of creative energy from you. So again, this is something very important to understand about your energy and moods that Spirit wants to highlight is that you do have these up and downs, and being able to communicate that to your external world is going to help your relationships. And it seems like that might be something that you have been stressed about lately. So that's why we're bringing it up. Or maybe you've been shaming yourself whenever you have these moods, and because that's typically what the world does. So this is again meant to bring in awareness so that you can bring a better clarity into the relationships, not just with yourself, but those around you. Back to the card. So 8 of Wands coming up right away. What I'm seeing, I don't think I've ever noticed that this is a unicorn. So right away, that is something coming through from Spirit. Again, wow. Awareness is your keyword this week. So how aware are you of like how fantastical you are? So I'm hearing like all these irritabilities, petty arguments. Like a lot of people might be, oh, I'm so sorry. It sounds like a lot of people might be negative towards you and even unprompted because again, it's a little bit more of a collective energy. It's not just you. Yes, you're a part of the situation, but it's not just you. So Spirit wants to really make sure that you reconnect to that relationship to self, to understanding exactly how special and wonderful that you are. And something to note too is what I'm hearing is this week, a big reason why your energy is so up is because you're launching certain avenues. So it sounds like you're either working on like one project that has like many branches that have to be executed around the same time, or at least started. And then you have, or you have many projects in your life, like you like have a career project, you have a self-development project, you have a relationship project. something along those lines. But this week it just happens to coincide that a lot of things have to get started, or this is the next time to progress the phase. So it seems like there's a lot of pressure, reasons why irritability is coming up, especially if these projects involve other people, right? But ultimately, what I'm hearing from Spirit is that it is just this week, and like everything is literally going to be much more calm next week. Something I'm hearing too, why you're facing this irritation, we just talked about how we're really in the waning moon phase, and at the time of this reading. And what's happening with that though is that you are trying to be in a gaining mindset, and so that's why this there's this kind of friction coming up in your energy. So I know we have so many other cards to go through, but just some little advice for that, I would say, is maybe just a mental shift around like what you're letting go of. So like maybe you're letting go of shame or fear. Maybe you're because like working on this new project, you need to be more confident. So you're like, I'm gonna be more confident. But instead of saying that, you're like, I'm gonna be less anxious. So certain things like that, I normally don't support having like negative words in the conversation, but when you're very aligned with the moon, which seems to be very much so for people in this group, you are going to need that extra leverage because the cosmos are so a part of your entire being. So of course it's going to support your project more. So it's just little word games like that can be very supportive. So also something coming up is like little communications, how you talk to yourself, how you talk to the universe, and how you talk to those around you. So very interesting. Main thing again is just bringing that awareness. Okay, we have one more Affirmators. Okay, we have the Knight of Wands. This is so great. So like I said, we have so much like great wand, fiery energy. So you're clearly a very passionate and creative person, and you want to share a lot of your joy. And so I'm hearing toxic positivity might be something that you struggle with. And so it's okay. I'm hearing to also share your other feelings and your other moods, and to like you can share when you're also feeling down. And that's really what I'm seeing with this Knight of Wands, is kind of this realization as you move forward with your project. So something Two Spirit is saying is like, you're going to have success with these steps, no matter how stressful it kind of seems as you're initiating this. By the end of the week, everything is going to be looking really great. You're going to be able to communicate well again, and you're kind of gonna be ready to take off with this energy. So it's a very interesting cycle that you're just kind of in just this one part of the week, or maybe you're kind of starting down but not really wanting to recognize it. So you are going to be on the up, and it's going to feel a lot more sincere if it doesn't now. Okay, we're gonna leave that there. So next we have your wisdom, and so we have 17 focus. Okay, so something that is coming through from Spirit for me is that this is kind of your advice, right? When things are getting a lot more irritable, when things are getting kind of confusing because there's this communication breakdown that's happening and you kind of want to be angry instead. So something that's coming very clearly from Spirit is to take that energy that, especially if you're feeling like anxious or anything, this is a great way how you'll be able to like become less of those things too, is you're going to then take that energy and you're going to essentially use it, you're going to essentially turn it into this arrow that we're seeing here, and you're going to use it to help support the focus that you are moving forward. That's why you got this Eight of Wands energy. That's why you got only Wands energy. And that's why you're the Knight, because you are able to take these emotions that you're feeling. You're able to take the energy around you and just be like, you know what? I have better things to focus on, and do it. And I'm hearing that that is something that people are like, you doing that too will also trigger some shadows in other people, and like you again cannot control like how other people react around you or how they're feeling. So all you can do is communicate your feelings and how you're feeling about a certain situation. You can't communicate like you should feel this way or anything like that. So really what's coming forward in regards to this card is that not only will this is your advice for moving forward through your week with those emotions, but this is also kind of a warning, letting you know that this is kind of a catch-22. Like, it will generate a little bit more irritation around you, but ultimately it will support you in your goals. Okay, so we do have another. Okay. So, High Priestess of Fire. We cannot make this up, guys. Okay. So, yeah, just take that beautiful creative energy that you have, any emotions that you hear. I did get like, I'm hearing very like art. So, something too coming up is if your projects, if do not deal with art, this is going to be another great way for you to focus your energy. So, if you're like, I really can't right now, I'm so angry, I can't focus, then it's a great time to figure out a very artistic, creative thing to do. It could be literally splattering paint on a wall. Like, I encourage you to put your emotion into it, is what I'm saying. Because, like, um, think about anything, any art project that deals with fire. Like, it's not dainty. So that's kind of the same attitude I want you to have when you are wanting to express yourself, because you are still this very elegant, beautiful high priestess. And something too coming from spirit is, and this is for no matter how you identify yourself. Um, okay, so something, no matter how you identify yourself, divine feminine is definitely coming out this week, and that is the main overall energy that is going to be carrying you through, because it is not only it is energy that recognizes their emotions but is still supportive. So it's not asking you to calm down, it's not asking you to not be fire, because you are fire. It's just asking you to go ahead and focus that energy into these creative pursuits, and understand also that maybe you're a higher being. That sounds weird. Take that how you are. Like, we're not trying to say like, oh, we're better than people, but like, understand that maybe you're in a different stage of your life than others. You're in a stage in your life where you're able to guide and teach, while others kind of just gain from the brilliance. Like, you're able to be fire while others need fire, if that makes sense. Okay, so then we have an affirmation card for you. We have I do good. So this is just so simple, so sweet. Confirmation that as you turn to focus on whatever project you're working on, I'm hearing it's probably this creative project that you're working on. At least, sorry, let me rephrase. There's a lot of kind of different messages. So the main message coming through though is the project that you are working on, at least one of them, is meant to support the collective, even though it seems like they are fighting against you. Yeah, I'm hearing like you feel like you mainly have only internal support lately rather than external support, which being a fire, like typically to get a fire going and to keep it going, it needs a lot of external um, inputs for it to be, in order for it to be able to transform that into its fiery energy, right? So we're seeing that that's kind of the same reason why you're facing these irritations, is because I'm hearing like you're like, people are not grateful. And so you're like, well, I'll try all these different things. I'll do this, I'll do that. And so Spirit is trying to come in and say, you can take this affirmation that what you're working on, you are doing good. Also, something to note is that the way, because for some of you, like, it's a career, it's a relationship, and a self-development. So what you're working on is you are doing good in supporting yourself, you are doing good in supporting the world, and just how you work and what you are doing. I can't stress this enough. It's just so simple. You can literally apply it to everything that you are working on. And or just like, if you made breakfast, you're like, I do good kind of situation. Like, this literally is an affirmation that you can say to yourself all throughout this week to gain confidence and to almost regenerate that energy that you're missing. So anytime that you're feeling low, you can bring this kind of mentality that you are on the right path. Like, we kind of see like a tear, right? And so there's this sense of sadness that comes through, even though there's this awareness and recognition. Again, awareness and recognition of what you're doing is great. You are a unicorn. Don't forget it. Okay, so we do have your an affirmation card for you as well, or a different kind. And so, my thoughts manifest my reality. I hold the power to choose them. This is so important. Okay, fiery creative energy typically also are going to be our master manifestors. So this is just chef's kiss, right? You guys manifest your reality, and you are choosing how to move forward. So where are you putting your focus? Are you focusing on the negativity? Are you focusing on the petty arguments? Are you focusing on your projects? Are you focusing on I do good? You know? So definitely take, mix and match however you need to. And then last but certainly not least, we do have our acts of kindness. As always, these are certainly a suggestion, not a command. Okay, so we have invite someone out to an event that you want to try or love. So it could be something that you already love to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you want to try. Sorry, this is so exciting. I actually think this is a really great one to just go ahead and do because, of course, be safe in current times. But because you have that fiery wand energy and you really are needing that, I'm hearing that external support of understanding, this is going to be so great. This is also going to help you open up a different line of communication if you are struggling with that partner. So in the very beginning, we had mentioned that you might want to talk to someone and say, hey, I might be a little bit more irritable this week, just to let you know, because these things are going to come up and this is just part of accepting who you are. So something to note is maybe that person that you still struggle with communicating your emotions to, you might want to actually take them to this event because that is a way to show something that is special and close to your heart. And they may ask, or you may want to prompt it yourself in like why you want to do this, like why do you love it, why did you want to go to the event, and it's really going to help bring more awareness and focus into the relationship of yourself and with that person, and it's just going to be this very beautiful healing moment for you guys. And again, it's just going to help you progress through the week. So that really seems to be most of what Spirit is saying, is like just kind of be aware of who you are, how you're feeling, what you're capable of, because by the end of the week, everything is going to be grand again. Okay, pile one, I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. Thank you for being here. I hope this resonated with you. Please do not forget to like and subscribe if it did. Comment below, let us know what you're working on, and gain some support from a like-minded community. Do not forget that you do good, and I will see you here next time. Blessed be. Marry me, pile two. If you chose this reading, then this is going to be your week ahead. So, first starting off, we do have the Empress coming out. So right away, actually, while I was tuning into your energy, something that was coming up is that you have the ability to not only channel, but channel higher beings. What I mean by that is a lot of things come out in, I'm trying to express it in a certain way. Essentially, right, an Empress. You are an Empress. So when you support a collective, you are supporting a much larger collective. And so sometimes what that means is I'll take it like a franchise owner. Like you are a franchise owner, even though technically you were given like all the materials, the branding, the marketing. Sometimes there's even like advertising funds to get you started. And hiring everyone in the business. Like there's sometimes some benefits when you're a franchisor, and with that, it comes from your higher ups. So there's still higher ups when you're a franchise owner, but you're still an owner. You are still an Empress. And then you typically, if you own multiple branches, you will have not only like a general manager who might help a couple stores, but you might have a regional manager who supports all of the stores in a certain area, and then you might have multiple regional managers, and then that's how you like get your vice presidents and other things and build up into your own individual company within a franchise. And so that might have seemed very convoluted. I'm thinking like maybe I could have written it out as a flow chart, but the point is I want you to recognize that in the flow chart of the universe, you are Spirit sees you at a higher level. I feel like this is getting really convoluted, so I apologize. There's a lot coming through, and we're literally on card one, so that's probably why. So let's go ahead. We're going to pause. I'm going to kind of restate that, hopefully in a way that makes more sense. But what's coming through for your week ahead, something for you to remember, I'm hearing always actually, is that you are the Empress. You are able to support a collective more than like just the family is what I'm hearing. I know a lot of times we see like the Empress and we're like, oh, this is like the divine feminine family partnership kind of situation. But what I'm hearing from Spirit is that no, this is like you literally have an empire capability. So I'm saying that because you are able to channel essentially like a high council to be of support to a certain amount of like a grand collective. So very interesting, very powerful, very much like just you need to understand how much you're capable of, because you already are doing it, is what I'm hearing. So it's like very important to understand like the crown that you wear is what I'm hearing. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and just keep on going. We actually didn't have very many cards come out for you. So it's very interesting that we are having this very deep message of just your capability and what you're able to do. So we have the Four of Cups coming out. So it makes a little bit more sense why we're having, these are your only 2 tarot cards coming out for this week. So it makes a lot more sense why this is coming out, because these are the 2 energies that you're battling with this week. You're going to be in one or the other, and Spirit is trying to encourage you to embrace more of the Empress. That's why it came out first. Very interesting. We have 3 and then a 4. And so something too that's coming up is you probably really identify with the Queen of Cups. And so you tend to be in your emotions. Maybe that's actually the house that you stood in first, so that's where like you might really identify with the water element in that sense. The Empress, everyone will say, is associated with water herself, and so there is that, and so that might be another reason why you're like tending to go into this more cup energy. But something that again is coming through back from the Empress card is you went through so many life lessons to become the Empress. You are not just a Queen of Cups anymore. You are the Queen of Fire. Wow. You were the Queen of Wands, you were the Queen of Pentacles, and you are the Queen of, wow. Oh, yeah, of Cups. And then the Queen of Swords. And yeah, so I was trying to think like what energy do you need to call on the most? Obviously the one that I wasn't fully able to grab at was the Queen of Swords. So what I'm hearing from Spirit is that's going to be a very important interesting way to look at yourself as an Empress, is like, what do you consider your sword? Where is your mental, like how did you become a Queen of Swords as well? Okay, I'm sorry, I feel like there's a lot of confusion coming through, so let me just kind of like step back from this, because I really want to make sure that the people in this pile are hearing this message very effectively. But as an Empress, when you are an Empress, the Empress card can be represented, or is represented as a culmination of the 4 queens. So something I believe is, in order to become an Empress, you must have the ability to be each of those queens, and that you are finding a balance in having those 4. And then that's kind of like your foundations, right? So I just thought of like the 4 of Wands. So a lot of times we look at the 4 of Wands as a very foundational card, and building the pillars. So these are like your queens are the pillars to understand that that's how you became an Empress. You are on this next level. And yeah. So what I'm hearing, again, reason why we're having this 4 of Cups is because you're very used to being Cup energy, so you've been focusing a little bit too much on that, and so because of that you have been ignoring this mental capabilities of the sword. So it's different for everyone. So that's why this is going to be a little meditation shadow work this week, is understanding what your sword is, and essentially, because it's the opposite of the cups a lot of time, it's not like how can you vanquish your emotions. It's not that. You're not trying to lock your heart away. You're the Empress. You are both Queen of Cups and Queen of Swords. You're simply trying to seize the sword again, instead of trying to pick up these 3 cups that have fallen. So you still have a cup that is uplifted, right? That's always within a 4 of Cups. Is there's still one cup that is still very fruitful and has literally stars and gems within it, versus sticking your head in the sand and focusing on all these cups that are, well, I know this is technically water, but focusing on all these cups that are overturned. And so what I'm hearing too, as an Empress, part of your kingdom has maybe fallen, and so part of that is you're like, this is my fault, it's clearly due to my emotional side. I'm hearing maybe they were relationships that fell apart, and so a lot of times when that happens, we do want to throw away the sword because we're like, I was too harsh. And so Spirit is saying you need to understand why you picked up that sword in the first place, and what it meant to sever those relationships. and how important it was for your journey. So yeah, a lot of shadow work coming up, but also the understanding that you are an Empress and that you have put in a lot of this work. So it's really just a recognition and understanding that you still have this other cup in your hand that is your true path forward, is what I'm hearing. So if numbers are very important to you, something too coming up is Empress is a 3, and then we're focusing, I know we mentioned like 4 of Cups, we're focusing on the fact that like you are keeping 1 cup upturned, and so 3 plus 1 makes 4, and so this is kind of like how you move forward. I'm hearing this is very much probably connected to a divine masculine and a twin flame journey, if I'm being honest. So take that how it resonates, but ultimately it just seems like there might be a sense of focusing on false flame, focusing on toxic relationships that you're no longer a part of, and thinking that this is needed for you to move on into your life, when Spirit is saying, no, you have a true flame coming in. I'm hearing coming in. They may already be in your connection, but coming in is primarily the message I'm hearing. And so with that, Spirit is needing you to recognize again that you are in fact an Empress, so that your Emperor can come in. So again, final thing I'll say about the 2 tarot cards is really you're going to be working between these 2 energies throughout this week. So recognizing that you are the Empress, but also understanding that you kind of are facing some disappointments and working through why you felt disappointed, essentially, because you have so much other things going on for you. And Spirit is right there for you, I'm hearing. So again, you're the Empress. We brought in that you're able to channel and higher beings and for a greater collective. So if that is something too that you're like, maybe that's the cup you need to hold on to, is the fact that you are still able and capable of these things, and maybe lean into those abilities. And you might find the healing that you need to, is what I'm hearing. So maybe it's just a certain rabbit hole you need to go down. All right, with that, we do have our wisdom. And so we have trapped. And so, oh wow, and it's number 34. Interesting. So 34, 3 plus 4 also turns into 7, which is typically means like your harvest is coming, is what I'm hearing, right? You just have this one and then this other, and they're working together to bring about a harvest. So for trapped, this is so interesting. I'm hearing a couple of different things. Because oh wow, it's so interesting, because we're going to bring up the Queen of Swords again, and a lot of times the Queen of Swords, they trap their heart, and so I'm hearing that you're afraid that that's what you're going to do again, and Spirit is saying that that is definitely not even possible. You are the Empress, so if you pick up that sword, you aren't putting yourself into a trap. You're not going to find yourself in a trap. Your back is not against the wall, is what I'm hearing. It's simply just a symbol of your status, is kind of what Spirit is wanting to come through. And so something else that is coming up with this is that you in fact are feeling a little bit trapped, and that's another reason why you need to pick up the sword, because that's going to support you in releasing that trap mindset. Yeah, it kind of just really comes back to you kind of put yourself in this trap already, even though you fear that it's almost like the thing you fear of putting you in a trap is what's keeping you in a trap. So you need to recognize again what you're capable of and what you're working on, because yeah, I'm hearing like you're just capable of so much more and you're really holding back. Yes, you're really holding back. So this is really coming forward. So if you're feeling trapped, that is why. It is so much a mental game. Again, probably why you need to look into the Queen of Swords, because it's a mental game for you right now. It's not an emotional game. Okay, so then we also have an affirmation for you. And so we have, I speak with good intent. So this is coming through for me that this is so important for you in the sense, right? I'm not sure what happened with those relationships, but we're talking a lot about swords being the thing that separated. So maybe it was just simply harsh words, miscommunication, some form of breakdown that happened. And so this is coming through that this is your affirmation that you can take with you to understand that you do in fact speak with good intent. What you said, like, again, why did you choose those words? Why did you feel the need to convey that message? And I'm hearing from Spirit, you probably can review that and then you will come back and say, you know what, I was speaking with good intent, and this is going to just support you in moving forward too. And I'm hearing again, recognize that you are an Empress. Sometimes an Empress has to be harsh in order to support the greater good, you know? So you don't always have to be harsh to yourself. Sometimes you're going to face those disappointments. This is exactly, it's kind of upsetting. It's what I'm feeling from you. It's like upsetting to be the Empress, because you're like, yes, I recognize, I'm starting to recognize like the crown that I hold, and though, and it means like saying no to certain relationships, no to certain things that are not meant for me, because I'm meant for this much more greater thing, so that I can hold more than just this single cup. I can do more than just focus on these relationships. I'm able to do more. Yeah, you're trapping yourself because you feel like whatever happened with this breakdown is so much your fault, and that you were in the wrong. And Spirit is trying to say it was all meant to go that way. You cannot control how other people react, but you were speaking with good intent. So we do have another affirmation, just a different kind. I listen to the whispers inside my heart. Okay. So I just love this for you, because I feel tired. Like I feel like you are feeling tired. I feel like you're just like, you don't want to kind of continue moving on, and you're kind of like, am I doing right? Did I do wrong? And I'm hearing like a certain resolve is lessening, but something coming through from Spirit is like, you've been focusing on this for too long already. So when I say that, for some of you, you're like, this happened last week, and Spirit is like kind of coming in like, yeah, it did happen last week. What are you doing today? How is that relationship today? Or how are you feeling today is the better question. And so that's why it's going to be so important for you to listen to the whispers inside your heart. So definitely take time to be quiet. You can listen to your emotions, but don't keep yourself trapped in that moment of time, is really what's coming through. Okay, and then your acts of kindness. Sorry, this is a suggestion, not a command, but we have attend a group meeting within your community. All right, so, wow. What I'm hearing is you are an Empress, right? So it's very important for you to understand what is going on within your community. So however that resonates with you, I definitely encourage you to determine where a group meeting is happening. Maybe you actually already have one that's going on. Maybe there was one that you were meant to like talk in, and you said, no, I'm not going to do that now. And so instead, Spirit is saying it's okay for you to just attend it and like kind of view the situation. And it might also help you see it less as a leader, which is kind of like, because you're wanting to say like, I don't want to be a leader in this moment because it's hurting these people. I'm sorry, these people are projecting their pain, and I'm trying to avoid that. And so Spirit is coming through saying like, maybe it would be good for you to attend this group meeting so that you can see it more as an attendee and understand, because what I'm hearing is it kind of will reignite your motivation in understanding why you chose to become a leader, why you chose to pick up that sword, right? And why you chose to be an Empress. It's more something that kind of was always meant to be, but there is a certain part that like you are choosing and understanding that this is a part of your life and a part of your role at this time. Something else that is coming through, attend a group meeting within your community, can also mean, right? We mentioned that you, in the flow chart, you may be higher up in a certain way, but you still aren't at the top. So there is still a certain sense that you are part of a community where you could maybe attend where your leaders are talking. So this could be literally, I'm hearing for a lot of this is very like spiritual relationships. But like there's so many like workshops, there's so many like retreats that are virtual based on current times. There's so many that are free too actually right now. And then there's also like, what's the other thing? A mental retreat. So if it is a very spiritual, you can just maybe take like a day off and do a like 24-hour silent retreat for yourself kind of situation where you like take away all electronics and then it's just you trying to connect with your community in a sense of your higher selves and the counsel that you keep. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here for you, Pile 2. Thank you so much for being here. If this resonated with you, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Comment below. Let us know what you're going through. Gain some support from a like-minded community. And please remember that you do always speak with good intent. And I will definitely see you here next time. Blessed be. Merry Meet Pile 3. If you chose this pile, then this is your week ahead reading. So to start us off right away, we have the Hermit. And what this is telling me is a couple of different things. So I'm getting right away that you were you're feeling very crabby. So you kind of are taking this time this week and you are just going inside. You're like, I'm hearing like the world would label you crabby. You don't personally feel crabby. You actually are more like, hey, the world's kind of crazy outside, so I'm going to continue staying inside and doing my thing. And so I'm hearing you're just really taking this week to do kind of whatever suits you best is what I'm hearing. I'm really getting this hermit of gaining information and knowledge, but for everyone here, it is literally different. So it literally could be like someone's learning a new instrument, someone is learning like a TikTok dance or song. I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know how that goes. But they're like, that's what they're focused on this week, or they just like stay inside. Some are like focused on like they're just reading books for fun because they haven't done that in a long time. Others are like doing that same thing with movies. Some are like doing movie commentaries. Some are like playing video games. I'm hearing like a lot of like inner child stuff is coming up. So some of this is like knowledge seeking, but in such a fun way that your inner child like used to do and like likes to learn is what I'm hearing. I just saw like finger painting too. Finger painting while like listening to a podcast. So like this very interesting like energy coming forward of you just having joy being by yourself this week as you learn. So absolutely gorgeous. So let's go ahead and continue. You actually have a few cards that came out. Oh wow, okay. So we have the Emperor coming out for you. So something very interesting about this is I definitely would go ahead if no matter how you identify, I would label you as a divine masculine. So however you working within this week, you were very much you were very much within your discipline. So that is twofold. I literally mean it like you were being very disciplined yourself in your schedule and your structure and how you're viewing your world. And then you also are within your discipline of whatever your element is. So however you work on. So like for instance, if you are a tarot reader, your discipline is tarot reading, right? So that is like what you're focused on learning this week and kind of what you're diving deep into. But you're, again, just doing this with yourself. And so it's this really like beautiful energy that is just coming through of you. Yeah. If you've, at the time of this reading, if you've been keeping up with our Divine Masculine readings, like this literally is so fitting for your week ahead because so many of our Divine Masculines are being called to like take internal time to reconnect with themselves and understand themselves on a much deeper level. And the fact that I saw like art and creativity coming through for a lot of that is so great because that means that if you are here within this pile, I want you to know that this is confirmation that you have been doing the work and healing that you have needed to do in order to ascend, essentially. And so it really is coming through from spirit that you're just killing it this week, even if it's just in your own house, is kind of what I'm hearing. And so self-assurance is going to be very big, but I'm also hearing that you have that. So like, right, you're hearing it from this reading already that you are doing well. So whatever you're working on, you're just kind of going to continue with it. I just got the image like if you peek outside, you're kind of like, not today. And then you just like go back to your merry internal world. And that's absolutely beautiful. Especially since we see a lot of times with the masculine is actually an external needing to work with the external. And so the fact that this is coming through together with the internal is this very beautiful harmonizing. And again, that's why you can take this for however you resonate, that this is the divine masculine within you. So if you are here, you are feeling just very productive and efficient. Okay, so we have some more. All right, so we have the Page of Swords. So yes, you're very much learning, you're gaining all this information and knowledge this week. I can't stress it enough. I'm actually not saying you're really communicating it with a lot of people. I'm seeing it's being communicated to you more so. Like I'm seeing a lot of like just online learning, whether that be through like YouTube, whether that be through like books, podcasts, like it really is just coming through that you were just like, it's so interesting because it's like, I almost want to call you like a knight of sorts, but you're not doing the external, right? You're not rushing out into the world. It's almost like you're rushing into the books. You're rushing into the library. Like, I just got an interesting metaphor, but a very grand library, you could almost consider it like a cave of exploration. Like, how often do people go into the stacks? How often do people go like into the deep dark cave? And so that is like something, like there's so much treasures. Like there's a lot of times where like certain libraries, especially grander libraries, will have certain treasures. Sorry, I shouldn't call it treasures, but like they have certain like antique books. They have certain like memoirs that are like from famous dead people, essentially. Such a way to phrase it. But essentially, that's how like it can be seen as like these insignificant things, but they are truly treasures. Like they're valued in the external world at like a very high monetary thing. Sometimes there's like these beautiful works of art too, right? Very same thing where it's like, oh yes, we have it here because we are so grand. And it's just like this sense that you are going out into the world and you are, take that how you will, but you literally are willing, you're like, yes, I will be the explorer for this cave, even though it's literally a building. And so that's kind of the mentality that is coming up here when we are looking at you as the Page of Swords and how you're dealing with information, is that you are being an explorer in it. I'm seeing you do have the capability to communicate it, especially with you being the Emperor. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing like probably this is just like a week where you were spending time alone, but chances are you're preparing for like a presentation, a project, something that involves like speaking and presenting. So presenting is very big. So something, the reason why I'm saying that is because I feel like there's a couple people here who are like, I'm a writer. I'm definitely not talking to anyone. And so the reason why I say that is because it sounds like there's still like a book tour still involves speaking to some people. So that kind of like is the energy coming through, is especially for whatever project you're working on. It seems very big, and I apologize if that's overwhelming, but that's again why you're in this beautiful hermit energy as you are learning and connecting with your inner child, because you are moving your whole being forward is what I'm hearing. And as you are moving your whole being forward, you then will be able to turn back and I just got the sense of like literally yell at the collective and be like, here's what I found. And it's just this very interesting presentation style. So I'm hearing no matter how you work, however you're working on this project, you will be able to convey your message very articulately. So with that, we do have another tarot. And we have a magician for you. So I love this one. Can we talk about how many major arcana came out? So yeah, I feel less bad about saying that you're working on a big project. Seems like that's kind of like your jam, if I'm being honest. And so, especially with the magician coming out. So something coming up is one, I'm seeing, you probably have been seeing like 1111 a lot, and a certain like message of like one has been coming out, and like really seeing not only the individual but what the individual is capable of. And I'm hearing that this is going to be a lot around what your message is about, and so you yourself are understanding what it means to be a magician before you can teach others what it means to be a magician. So this is again this very interesting playful energy. So in tarot, a lot there's a certain, you can, a lot of times they want to call the major arcana a certain storytelling. And so one ways that you can look into that storytelling is that you can say that the emperor was the magician before, and that they had to become the magician first before they could become the emperor. And so there is this beautiful, that's why the inner child is coming out, because you were the magician at a very young age, I'm hearing, and you were able to really manifest and create a lot of things within your reality, although you weren't very aware of what you were doing. And so that's kind of why you're in this hermit energy, is because you're now understanding as an adult how you are manifesting that in this very fun energy, because that's what you did when you were a kid. And so, or younger. You don't necessarily have to be a kid, like it might have just been when you were a teen, or even I'm hearing college days. So definitely take when I say younger to just be relative to you and your own journey. And so again, we're seeing this certain sense of regression that is needed in your healing and understanding, because then you're going to be able to turn around and show others how they can become the magician. Yeah, I'm literally saying you're going to show. You're going to... I'm so sorry. I think it's funny. You're going to essentially show the fools how to become magicians, is literally what I'm hearing. And I just love that so much for you. And don't call people fools. I mean, maybe if you're in the right kind of crowd, right? But that's just ultimately what's coming up. Like, if we're being honest, all of us at a certain point, especially if we're in any kind of spiritual awakening, have been a fool. So this is just a very brilliant way that you're helping people awaken into what they're, again, are very capable of. So this is such beautiful energy. Honestly, like, you're just have so much fun this week and enjoy being you. I just heard it's very important, actually, that you enjoy being you. Because especially if you are, if you are part of a divine masculine, you probably have some kind of twin flame energy or connection within or around you. And so why I say that is because it seems like there might be a certain separation with this hermit mode. And so there is a certain loss, a certain sadness, and so Spirit is really wanting you to encourage that healing and that fun, loving time for that reason. Okay, now for some actual advice. Okay. The Warrior, this is, if I was to label a divine masculine card in this deck, this would be it. So that's why I'm just like literally screaming. So, okay. Two things happening. This card just makes me so excited because, okay, it's confirmation. It is confirmation again that you are this warrior and that you are the divine masculine, that you are doing exactly what you were supposed to be doing. And also what I'm hearing is because that we did have that sense of disappointment that you were like, maybe I'm not doing right by the people in my life, is kind of like a message coming through. And so something to note about the warrior is that it actually is, especially in this novel series, it actually is meant to be seen more as the counterpart to the divine feminine. So this is confirmation that what you are working on and who you are, who you're becoming, that you are in the balanced you are the balanced divine masculine that you need to be, even if right now you're in this moment of solitude. And that what I'm hearing from Spirit is that you kind of just got into this mode, right? So I'm hearing like within the last couple of weeks, you've really just only become this warrior. And so that's why you're still feeling this sense of loss, even though you're like, aren't I renewed? Aren't I now this person? And Spirit is saying, yes, you are this person. You're still learning certain things. That's why we're encouraging you to continue going through this healing, because then you're going to be able to shout back at the collective, help the collective. And then as you go through that, you're going to call out to your divine feminine, is what I'm hearing. So as the warrior, you're like a warrior with no one to protect is kind of like the mentality. And so Spirit is saying, like, just as you continue moving on, like, they naturally will go there because that's who you are. You are naturally a warrior. You will naturally protect people, and then you will. So therefore, as you're learning all these things, as you are teaching people how to become the magician, I'm seeing like you're probably going to run into someone who is working in a very similar path as you, and who is learning very similarly to you. And it's going to be this very interesting thing. I'm hearing for a lot of you, it's probably going to be like someone who you think needs to learn from you more, and then but they shock you with like certain things that they say, and so you instead are learning from them. And so that's kind of like this beautiful partnership kind of grows between the two of you, understanding that you both of you can learn from the other, and that's always going to be something, an element of your relationship is what I'm hearing. So the main reason why we're seeing the warrior come out is more so to just confirm for you that you are in fact this divine masculine. You have gone through the hard work and you have become this warrior that is deserving. So something too, I'm hearing for some of you though, this is about a reconnection and a reunion. And so this has been very important for the divine masculine, for you to understand that you are that you had to go through this, and that you now have become this warrior, so that you and that partner can truly come together, and that they also have gone through their own healing, is what I'm hearing. Okay, we do have another wisdom card. Wow. Okay, yeah, so we have differences coming out. So I love this coming out for you for a couple things. So first thing coming out is just the very general how you're working through life is, and what we're mainly focusing on for this week is that you are really noticing the differences between not only yourself and the external, which is why you're like, I'm going to stay inside, but also who you were in the past to who you are now. So I know we didn't have like a 6 of Cups come out, but it's like very much that energy of reflecting back on who you were, right? You are no longer the fool. You're not even truly the magician. You're the emperor now. And that's why it's like you've learned how to be the magician, but you're kind of like relearning it because you're like, oh, I didn't fully appreciate that to the point where I could teach someone else how to do it, because now people are asking you, like, they're not asking you how to be the magician, by the way, they're asking you how to be the emperor. And so you're like, well, first you have to take this step. And so there is a little bit like differences coming up in understanding. Yeah. I mean it as the word understanding as a noun. So people are essentially, your perspectives are different on like where people think they want to be, and you're like, this is actually where you're going. And so there's a certain understanding, again, why you kind of need to be hermit, because people are like coming to you and they're like, oh, here's this thing, and then you give them information and advice, and they're like, well, that's not what I was thinking, and you're like, well, that's the difference. Kind of mentality. And so there's this certain need of understanding these communication breakdowns as we go through. And then this also is kind of echoing what we just talked about with your divine feminine connection, is that you guys are very different souls, even though you both are of the same mind frame when it comes to learning and how to support the world. So there are still differences. That's why you guys are always going to be learning from each other, because it's not just this one subject that you guys are like, oh, well, I studied in this branch. Oh, I studied in this branch. No, it's like literally certain things about life that you guys, I'm hearing, will disagree on, to the point of discussion though. So it's not like you're fighting and having these arguments. That's why you've gone through your work, you've become the warrior, to where you're not even debating, you're having open-minded discussions, to where like like something very simple is like eating and your diets. And so maybe your partner is like, hey, it's very important for me to have an all plant-based diet. And then you were like, I have never wanted that in my life, kind of mentality, for whatever reasons. And so it's this very interesting like mind opening that has to happen on both sides. And so instead, something that happens is maybe you guys have a mostly plant-based diet, and like certain things that you're like, oh wow, yeah, I don't drink milk anymore, my skin is super clear, and certain things that benefit. And then your person is like, you're right, I was missing eating chicken, and for however certain things relate to them, you guys like get it from, you guys raise your own chickens, and that's like how you guys are able to come into this compromise, because they're like, you know what, I'm taking care of this, I know 100% that what I'm eating is come from a very loving family. So take this how you will. I feel like this is getting a little offhand, but I just didn't want to insult anyone too, because then I realized like someone might think like, I'm not compromising your values is what I'm saying, and that's not what I'm saying. So like, it's not like you started eating chicken just because to compromise, because like now they don't drink milk. No, it's why was that important to you, and you guys found a solution to support both of your needs. And then as you guys progress, you might actually just be like, you know what, we don't really need to take care of chickens anymore, we kind of can do okay without them. Or maybe you guys are like, let's have an unusual vegetable once a week, and like you're just in the grocery store. Like, how many people have actually cooked eggplant, I think that's like such an easy one to start off with that a lot of people find intimidating. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that portion of it there. I just can't stress enough that as you move, like this just really seems a very beautiful connection for you when it comes. So I kind of feel like we got away from just this week, because you really are just like killing it this week, focusing on your inner child, connecting to that magician that you used to hold, even though, and still recognizing though that you are the emperor. And again, we got confirmation that you have done the work that you needed to in order to become this warrior to support the world. But there are still going to be differences that you come up and interact with, but you're going to be seeing them in a much more open-minded state, and you are not compromising yourself in any way, right? You do know your structure, you know your values, you know your discipline, you have set firm boundaries. Okay, so we do have an affirmation card. And so we have, I give offerings that are genuine. So that kind of really echoes for me what we just said. So you are not compromising yourself in any way. And that is what makes everything you do genuine. And I do mean everything. So, and that's why I'm saying like, you really do want to support the collective. And so what happens is you needed to go through a lot of these lessons. Ooh, especially for your partner, you needed to go through a lot of these lessons because you were intending a lot more good than you were actually doing. And so now you are able to actually give all of the things that you wanted to give, all of these offerings, which I'm hearing like offerings can just be considered like words of advice. Offerings can be considered just a moment of time. So, but now you're able to be a lot more genuine in those times. So I'm hearing like you're a lot more present in the moment. You're able to truly listen to what someone is saying and hear what they need. So again, that's why there's still going to be differences, because sometimes Like, what did I just say? You're able to hear what someone is saying, or I'm sorry, you're able to listen to what someone is saying, but hear what they need. So sometimes they don't even understand what that need is. And so you might be able to point out those differences for them. And so just this very interesting, like, motifs are kind of coming up along with just confirmation that what you're working on this week is beautiful and great, even if it seems like it. So go ahead, stay in your hermit mode, perfectly okay, as you share certain information, because what I'm hearing is like some of you are like, I literally cannot take a week off of work. People talk to me so much. That's again why you were the Emperor and why you are still a Page of Swords, because you are able to say, oh yes, here's how you do this thing. And you're able to move and walk away from it. Okay. So we have another affirmation card slightly from a different deck. So I am becoming who I am meant to be. Oh my goodness. This really just echoes everything we just said. So confirmation, confirmation, confirmation. If you have any doubt about what you are working on, it is going beautifully, because you are going beautifully. You are the Emperor. Okay. I love this for you. So last but certainly not least, we have our acts of kindness. So this is this is a suggestion, not a command. And so we have leave change in a vending machine or buy someone's order. Okay, so this is very interesting for this to come up. Also with the, like, I give offerings that are genuine. So something that is being like really, I see like for you, you probably like if you had a love language for most of you in this pile, it probably would be like gift giving, where you're like, I really like, sometimes it's very difficult for me to communicate because you have your head stuck in a book. So if I can give someone something of literal monetary value, because that's like, it's almost like you recognize that's how like the world works, and so that's like an easy way that you cop out your feelings, is what I'm hearing. So this is kind of spirit saying like, this is an act of kindness for yourself this week, just as much as it is for someone else, because anyone who's feeling like very disconnected to you and that's feeling like a strain, this is how you can support them. You can buy them an order of something. You can like, because this is almost like taking someone on a date too, right? Is you can take someone out on a date and you can also pay for their food and pay for their order. It's also just taking a friend out for a date too. So things like that. And then for those people at work who are like, man, everyone just wants to talk to me all the time, maybe what you can do is you can be like, hey, I'm going to be really busy this week working on this project, and so it might be hard to get to me, but here is however many people are in your office, like here's 20 or 40 bucks. Or okay, so a couple of things. You could like send out an email and be like, hey, what I just said, I'm gonna be busy this week. Here's 20 or 40 bucks in the vending machine in this hall. Hope you guys enjoy. My gift to you. And then yeah, you're kind of paying off people to leave you alone. That is kind of the mentality we're putting out here. But ultimately, especially if you do it unprompted before people are mad that you aren't talking to them, they're going to think it's just a great gift. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, how thankful, or how thoughtful. And you're going to have this, it's going to help that bridge essentially as you go into this cave. So people are still going to feel like they can communicate with you, even if you don't seem as available as you normally are. So that's really how I want you to look at this act of kindness this week, is that it really is just more to support you in communicating to those around you that you do still love and support them, even if right now you're in a hermit mode. Okay. Yeah. I also just heard like you can literally like order food delivery if you know where someone's address. So, and a lot of places now like do flower deliveries too. So just saying. With that though, pile through, I'm definitely going to go ahead and leave this here. Thank you for being here. Take this as confirmation that you are the divine masculine. You are becoming who you are meant to be, and enjoy yourself in your hermit mode. You're in this very beautiful energy. I cannot stress that enough this week. Enjoy that inner child moment, and I will definitely see you guys next time. Blessed be.